one is naturally brought to enter the stage of the definitely settled, solely saying the Tathagata's Buddha's name constantly. One should respond with gratitude to the universal vow of great compassion. Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda. Thank you, John, for that introduction. It feels great to be here. Yes, I did go to school with both Reverend Turner and Reverend Utsumi Wandra, and did many things like going to Japan for our Tokudo on Kyoshi. And it was really great, being with them and coming back here to Orange County. And as Reverend John mentioned, I just came back from Hawaii about 2.5 weeks where I did their summer program and was busy going to different islands giving talks. And they're having kind of the same problem that many temples in BCA is having, and that is the declining attendance and membership. Now, OCBC doesn't seem to have that problem. You have to expand this place. And you're very fortunate to have two ministers who are very progressive. And what we're looking at is that there has been a difficulty in translating 13th century Japanese Buddhism to 21st century America. And the two things I see are that there's a difference of culture and time period. And culture, and I love to do this, what does this mean to some people? Actually, most of the people are in the other room. But for Japanese-speaking people, this means what? Oide, come here? And what do many other people see this sign saying? Goodbye. So this demonstrates one of the things that's a problem, that sometimes in one culture, it means something completely opposite in the other, the same gesture, and even the words. And so this is one of the things. The other thing is the time period. In 13th century Japan, the main concern was life and death. If your grandfather was a peasant, you would know that your grandson would be a peasant. There was no going, up the ranks. And so life and death was a real issue because I broke my leg last year. If I had done that, 800 years ago, my family would starve. And yet these days, if I get injured and I make it to the hospital, I kind of know I'll be, taken care of. They've got so many things going on. And I've been in hospitals with tubes and all kinds of things going in and out. So we're concerned not so much with life and death, but the quality of life. And we complain a lot about, how things should be better if we elect the right people and all that. Anyway, so these differences of culture and time period make it difficult. So I think what I've been doing is trying to interpret Shin Buddhism from a contemporary point of view. Now, what that means is that we see things differently. We're in a different context than we were 800 and 500 years ago. Now, Ohigan is this service we have twice a year. Could that mean it's twice as important as the other services? But it reminds us that what is important here is this time of year, this balance of night and day, heat and cool. It just emphasizes Shakyamuni Buddha's emphasis on the middle path, that the life of a prince, and then he switched over and became an ascetic where he was negating his body, and that didn't work. And he realized that the middle path was important. So what he said was the middle path is how we might resolve things, and that means the balance of all things. So I'm going to do something here to show you the importance of how Buddhism considers practice, because this is a word that sometimes gets misunderstood. Now, oh great, I didn't bring it. I have a sign that says practice. Do you understand what or balance? Do you understand what balance means? B-A-L-A-N-C-E. Most people understand that? Okay. There is a difference between balance and experience. I mean, between understanding and experience. And to demonstrate that, I'll ask those of you who are able to, and I'm one who's not too much able to do this, please stand up, just for a little bit. Now, the difference between understanding balance and the experience is to lift up one leg. Now, be careful. If you can't, just put your foot down. Okay, that's good. Let's put your foot down and sit down. Now, yeah, everyone can sit down. I don't want to be liable for any broken legs like I had. Was there a difference between understanding balance and the experience of balance? And that is why practice is so important. When you read mind in Western literature, like Descartes, it's the cognitive mind, it's how we think. But when you read mind in Buddhist literature, what it means is the mind, the body, feelings, spirit. It's our whole being. And that usually means there's a practice or a physical element connected to that, because it's a deeper way of understanding or experiencing something. Without a practice, it stays kind of a concept. Be kind. Everyone, be kind. It's a good concept. Whether we do that or not this afternoon and the rest of the week is up to us. But a practice really incorporates something within our whole lifestyle. And so this is what Buddhism is able to do when it talks about practice. Now, again, Ohigan is about going from this shore to the other. And we have this picture of Chantal being chased by bandits and wild animals, having this white path with fire, water, and river. Oh, I have water here. River of fire and river of water, going to this other shore. And again, 800 years ago, that probably meant that, I have to be ready, from this life to go to the other. And as Jim rightly pointed out, this happens now. We make this shift. So rather than this thought of a pure land, which is kind of geographic, I like to use the word pure realm, which might indicate that it could be a shift in our mental awareness. So going to a pure realm might be just shifting our thinking. And this crossing this path is something we might do to awaken. I don't use the word enlightenment because that's what the Buddha experienced, and that was singular. He was a significant human being. I think we can wake up. I do this every day, mostly. I go to sleep and I wake up. And waking up also means I become aware, I acknowledge things. And so for us Shin Buddhists, ordinary people, this is how I like to interpret Shinran. That's he's urging us to wake up. And it's not just one big, now I got it. I understand everything. No, it's incremental. I understand a little bit, thank you. And it's just this constant falling asleep and waking up. Now, I wonder, where could we learn a lesson like this? Anyone know which book or movie or, we could learn that lesson, right here, Orange County Buddhist Church. And you're very fortunate because here we come every Sunday to hear this lesson on how to wake up. Of course, some of us might, if I talk too long, I'll put many people to sleep. But what are the things that we do here? We walk in, and initially, we walk in with our left foot, just to demonstrate that, this is our side that's kind of sleepy. And we bow. There's kind of honoring everyone else, the Buddha, and so forth. And then initially, and if we come here on time, we can go and burn incense. And of course, there are many meanings for that, but I like to say that that is our participation in saying we are part of this life of impermanence. That these little granules I'm putting in, that solid, changes to ashes, smoke, fragrance. That fragrance is like our spirit that's released. But I see this change and I'm participating. And then I put my hands together, look at the Buddha, and say the sacred name, in a sense, saying thank you, of this deep appreciation. And we'll get to why we say thank you. It looks like please, because in our American society, prayer, hope, it's always kind of future-oriented. Things should get better, but it's not please, it is thank you. Now, the next thing we do is go back and sit down, and fortunately, I think you have a meditation period here. And as we hear the kancho, what happens? We settle down. We've come from a hectic day trying to get our kids or husbands to get ready on time. And hearing that bell, we just kind of settle down. And we have some quiet moments and perhaps a reading to kind of settle us. And then we chant. Now, we don't understand, I see the kids here, what are they saying? It is a ritual that is an experience. Often we don't have to understand the words. It is just this ritual of chanting. And what that tells us, this truth that we are not individuals. Each one of us is part of the Sangha, that we're chanting with each other. This is a demonstration or participation in oneness. All different voices, different tones, sometimes different paces, trying to enunciate the words properly. But it's a demonstration, an activity where we're all part of the whole. And this is one of the deep lessons. So we get this every time we have a service, we chant. And we think of those who chanted with us, our parents and grandparents who were here, perhaps who are no longer here with us. But we also think of the people who have been here, many, many decades ago, who helped build maybe not this temple, but the previous one, or started the organizations. They also chanted the same thing. And so we're in oneness with them and with all the people in the past who have chanted this chant for centuries. And even beyond that, where perhaps it was chanted in a different language to the time of the Buddha. So this chanting tells us we're experiencing this oneness with people here, people in the past, people in the distant past, all chanting these words. So it is just this experience of oneness, knowing we are connected. And so it is, this whole thing of connecting ourselves and being reassured that we're here and we're part of a group that has extended for an indefinite past, going to the indefinite future. And then another thing is often citing the three treasures. And to some that are very succinctly, we sometimes say something like, rare, difficult, and wondrous is it to be born into human life. Now we live it. Rare, difficult, and wondrous is it to hear the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. So if we do not resolve our issues now, when will we do it? Now we've already said now. So as Jim said, it is in the present. We have done this. And it's not that we have done it. We have been receiving this. And we get this from our Dharma talk, which comes next. And the ministers tell us how we receive this. And the one thing that makes it easy, I think a contemporary way of explaining Shin Buddhism, without having to go through all the explanations, is that we are a group that really realizes that we are receiving much more than achieving. We're receiving. And how do we acknowledge that? We say thank you. Because all the things that we have been a gift from those in the past. Now, to realize this, how do we think about this? One way to perhaps demonstrate it is to think about an ocean, the ocean being truth. It represents truth, and Reverend Tanaka has used that as the title of his book, Oceans. So if we want to know about truth of the ocean, what we do might be to go down into it, perhaps in a submarine. And we're usually looking out the front porthole, thinking, I see a sliver of truth, so I understand that. So I'll go out there and, achieve something good. But as Shin Buddhists, we look out a different porthole, out the back. We only know a sliver of truth, but what do we see? We see how we got here. All the people who brought us to this point. Our parents, grandparents, all the ancestors. And so this is what wakes us up to the reality that we are here. So what do we do when we have this gift? Shinan tells us, one is naturally brought to enter the stage of the definitely settled, solely saying the Buddha's name constantly. One should respond with gratitude to the universal vow of great compassion. So Namo Amida Butsu is an expression of gratitude, thank you. And yesterday at our seminar, I went through a process where thank you is the opening gate. It's very hard to say, just say the Nembutsu and great things will happen. We've done everything with the practice. And so thank you is a practice that we can incorporate every day to know that we have been receiving things. And we have been receiving these things from the infinite past. And what I think Shin Buddhism does is it affirms the fact that we are here, born into human life, hearing the Dharma now. And so we remind ourselves that all the time with these rituals. And again, at these services, we have all these things that remind us of that. Going back to the service, what comes next at the end? The thing we all love, announcements. People line up, all these things. What's all that about? Service to others. This is what comes to us after thank you. We serve others. Do you do any of that here? Well, there's Dharma school, right? There are YBA, there are groups. We have, we honor the elders. Most of the activities we have here is to serve others. Some eco-sangha or charity events, collecting for different charities. It's about serving others. When we wake up, we realize what we have received, and we're part of this group, and so we serve others. And this is what the primal vow is about. And so this kind of thing happens. Now, we leave with the right foot just to remind us that we're slightly awake now, and we might carry this through the day. And then if we have hospitality or social afterwards, we can meet with our friends and say hello. I always say that Shin Buddhism happens after the service. Here we hear things, but then we actually put that into practice as we exchange our ideas with our friends and relatives. And so this is what happens at every service. Now, it would be nice if we could do this all the time, and we might do it with a home altar. You might have a home altar, go in the morning, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, saying thank you. So wouldn't that be something? So, if people don't have a home altar, that's something we might do. And it would be good if there was some way of doing this on a daily basis. Is there a way we could think of? Would you have an altar at work or school, or I don't know? Can anyone think of anything? Shinran thought of it, and he said we could say the Buddha's name in gratitude. So, without carrying a picture or altar around, we have these words, Namo Amida Butsu, or the shortened Namman Dabs. And I like to say that to especially younger people, because it can be repeated as a chant, Namman Dabs, Namman Dabs, Namman Dabs. So that reminds us that we are already here, not because I achieved any great awakening, but that I received something. And I demonstrate that in a practice of serving others. Serving others not for, recognition or merit, but because I already received this. And to be aware that I have received all these things from others. Of course, there was some effort on my part of achievement or of doing things, but so much has come from others. And so I'm reminded of this simply by saying Namman Das, Namman Das. Initially, we may just say thank you to the common conveniences and necessities, like turning on a light switch, water, or a water faucet. When we get into a car, we say thank you. But we find that all these things took the efforts of so many others. Spiritually, we might say that's the compassion of Amida Buddha. But it took someone to put in that plumbing or electricity, put all the lines in from the city, for a city to organize all this. Because in many parts of the world, they don't have this. They have to walk miles to get some water that's not drinkable, that they have to boil. And we have all these conveniences. And we have that solely because we were born a human being and others have contributed their lives and efforts for our benefit. So this is one basis of Namman Das. This is one method of crossing over, not to a different place, as Jim was saying earlier, but we're here now. It's just to wake up and shift our thinking. We cross over continually. So to me, that is a contemporary method of really appreciating that in Shin Buddhism we have this this method of waking up at any time, whenever there's anything of troubling nature, whenever we're happy, whenever we realize that we are alive, we say Namman Das. And I'll close with what I was talking about yesterday. We have a bon which we celebrate. It's a memorial. And yet we dance. And at Otoki's after a funeral, everyone's noisy and talking. That's what we do as humans. And Obon, PJ Hirabayashi and San Jose Taiko made up this dance called Eijanaika, which could be translated properly as Isn't Life Good? But it's patterned, she has it demonstrating what the Issei pioneers had to do in the mines, in the fisheries, in the railroads, working. And with all the stress, they were still able to say Eijanaika. I like to translate that as Ain't Life Great? And so we could yell out Eijanaika, Namandams. And this is one, perhaps another meaning of Nembutsu, that we're affirming life, and these memorial services tell us, ain't life great? So please think about that, especially younger people. This, what we call sacred words are really words of affirmation, that we're saying that we wake up to life. So please join me in expressing our deepest appreciation with the words of the Nembutsu. Gassho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda.